Welcome in, beloveds. I hope the sound's coming through. I don't know if it is. Welcome in, beloveds. Okay, well, I got a new microphone. I'm hoping the sound is better, so I'm testing it. Bear with me. Hope the sound's coming through. I don't know if it is. Well, that's an echo. It seems to be working. I hope, because the audio hasn't been that great on the videos, and I'm learning as I go with this technology. So you guys got to just be patient with me, bear with me, right? Let me turn that volume down. So guys, we're going to talk about some more kings of the 12 tribes. Let me put my cigarette out real quick so we can get started. Let me add this to the stage. Here we go. I tell you, family, that it's crazy out there. You can see that the strong delusion's taking effect. People are confounded. People are running in circles. And that's Father's will for disobedience. You got it on a lot of sides. I have seen some nightmares out there with people chasing dates. Yeshua said, observe them, don't mess with them, right? We got to stay grounded in the Word. The King is coming. We got to sow it in our hearts. We got to hear and do Shema Israel, right? So let's sow some word in our heart tonight. We've been talking about the prophet Elisha as well. We're in the prophets, but we're learning about the disobedience of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And no matter what, we don't want to be Ephraim. We want to be Yosef, Judah, walking as Jacob, the man-child, the called, the chosen, and the faithful. The bride becomes all three. So always remember, until we're on our faces before the King of Glory, and He has given us a crown, we are not to assume anything. Right? Our Heavenly Father is holy. The King of Glory is holy. And you must go through the sanctification process in the order of things to be in the presence of holiness, which has been taught on this channel a lot. There's a series, the Come Out of Babylon series, you might want to look at if you've come on new. Also, the curse of the eye, to learn what the key of David is, and how Yeshua must turn it on you to break the curse off of you from the garden. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you must get in that playlist. And also, most important, the scribes from a servant who has been put in a position to write the words of the King of Glory, and using me as a second witness to be his voice and his eyes during the process. Get into the scribes, Yeshua Melech, Yeshua King of Israel, scribes through servant Casey's pen, because everything on this channel is done in the order of things. Okay? 2 or more witnesses, always. Okay, now we're going to start reading 2 Kings 8. Malachim Bet. Now Elisha had said to the woman whose son he had restored to life, Move away, you and your household, and stay wherever you can, because Adonai has called for a famine, and it will be on the land for 7 years. Sound familiar? Um, you know, these was, is, and is to come. These are a foreshadow of things that are happening now. The woman acted at once and did as the man of God had said. She went with her household and stayed in the land of the Philistines for 7 years. So she was obedient to the servant of Yah. And the Shulamite also is the woman in Revelation, as we were looking at in the Song of Solomon, the difference between the man child and the woman. At the end of 7 years, the woman returned from the land of the Philistines and sought an audience with the king to claim her house and land. The king was talking with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God. Tell me, he said, all the great things Elisha has done. Just as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead person to life, at that very moment the woman whose son he had restored to life came to the king with her claim for the house and land. Gehazi said, my lord king, this is the woman, this is her son, the one Elisha restored to life. On being asked by the king, the woman verified it. At this, the king appointed a special officer and charged him restore everything that belongs to her, including the income her fields have produced from the day she left until now. So, that's a picture of the restoration of the two houses being restored, returning back to their inheritance. I just want to point things out as they come up. Elisha went to Damascus. Ben-Hadad, the king of Aram, was ill, and he was told, the man of God has come here. The king said to Hazael, take with you a gift. Go meet the man of God and consult Adonai through him. Ask if I will recover from this illness. Hazael went to meet him, taking with him a gift that included everything good. Damascus in English had 40 camel loads. And it's the number 40. He came, stood before him, and said, your son Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, has sent me to you. He asked, will I recover from this illness? Elisha answered, go and say to him, you will surely recover. So here, Elisha is telling him to go lie to the king of Aram. Notice that sometimes lying is appropriate. Even though Adonai has shown me that he will surely die. You see that? A lot of people miss these things. Then the man of God fixed his gaze on him for so long that Hazael became embarrassed. Finally, Elisha began to cry. And let me pull out my paper Bible here. Oh, wrong one. Wrong button. Okay. So we got to go to 1 Kings really quick with Elijah. Okay, so in 1 Kings 19:15, Adonai said to him, and this is Elijah speaking for Yah. Adonai said to him, go back by way of the Damascus desert. When you get there, anoint Hazael to be king over Aram. Also, verse 16, anoint Jehu, the son of Nimshi, to be king over Israel, and anoints Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Avel Meholah, to be prophet after you. Okay, so that's important because Elijah was the one told to anoint them. However, his mantle was passed down to Elisha before that, right? So Elisha is the one going to be doing this anointing. So that's what I wanted to show you. Okay. Verse 12, Hazael asked, why is my Lord crying? Elisha's crying. He answered, because I know the disasters you will bring on the people of Israel. You will set their fortresses on fire. You will kill their young men with the sword. You will dash their little ones to pieces and rip their pregnant women apart. This is what happens to disobedient children, right? When you stay in idolatry and you want to be self-sovereign, doing it your own way, and you don't want to keep the commandments of Yah. Hazael said, but what is your servant? Nothing but a dog. How could he do anything of such magnitude? Elisha answered, Adonai has shown me that you will be king over Aram. And this was Father's doing. He wanted him to be king for his purpose. Elisha was anointed first. Then he left Elisha and returned to his master, who asked him, what did Elisha say to you? He told me you would surely recover. The next day he took a blanket, dipped it in water, and spread it on his face so that he died. And Hazael took his place as king. So Father is fulfilling his word through Elijah, through Elisha. It was when Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, was in the 5th year of his reign that Jehoram, the son of Josaphat, began his rule over Yehuda. Okay, so these names are very similar. So we got two kings, one for Israel, one for Judah, Yehoram and Joram. And when you read, I think it is in the King James, the names stay the same, if I can remember correctly, but they may have changed it for clarity. You got to keep track of the names. It's really hard sometimes. He was 32 years old when he began to rule, and he ruled 8 years in Jerusalem. He lived after the example of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, because he married Ahab's daughter. Okay, so let's back that up again. Who was this? The king of Judah, right? That married Ahab's daughter. So at this point, we've got Ahab's line on the throne of Israel, the northern kingdom, and Ahab's line in the southern kingdom of Yehuda. Okay. He lived after the example of the kings of Israel, as did the house of Ahab, because he married Ahab's daughter. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective. However, Adonai was unwilling to destroy Yehuda because of his servant David, inasmuch as he had promised to give him and his children a lamp that would burn forever. So the covenant Father made with David is the only reason Yehuda is not getting it is bad. Right? During his time, Edom revolted against Judah and set up its own king. In response, Joram crossed to Zaire with all his chariots. At night, he and his chariot commanders set out and attacked Edom, who had surrounded him. Then the people fled to their tents. Nevertheless, since that day, Edom has remained free of Yehuda's domination. So at one point you had the domination over Edom. Libnah revolted at the same time. See how all this works, right? When Father passes his judgment. Other activities of Joram and all his accomplishments, are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehuda. Joram slept with his ancestors and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David, and Ahaziah, his son, took his place as king. So Ahab had a son named Ahaziah. That's in chapter 1 of 2 Kings. This Ahaziah would be Ahaziah 2, his grandson. Okay. And Ahaziah, his son, took his place as king. So Ahaziah is Ahab's grandson, and he is now becoming the king of Yehuda. It was in the 12th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel, that Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehuda, began his reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he began to rule. I love the numbers. Father loves the number 22. Yeshua wrote about it in the scribes. And 22 letters on the Hebrew alphabet. But we're not doing a study on the number 22 right now. I always get stuck on the numbers, and I like to point them out. They're important. Their names are important. Important if I can talk. What they mean, the places they're at when battles happen. I mean, there's so much in Scripture. We'll never get to the end of it, probably long into eternity. So he was 22 years old, and he ruled for 1 year, just 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Ataliyahu in the Hebrew, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel. Now, backtrack. Omri was the one who bought Shamron. It's Ahab's father. And then they made it the northern capital, the capital of the northern kingdom. Okay. So Atalia, I'm just going to say the King James name. It's easier to pronounce, honestly. He lived after the example of the house of Ahab. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective. Yes, that's why he went. He's king 1 year, as had the house of Ahab, for he was a son-in-law in the house of Ahab. With Joram, the son of Ahab, he went to war against Hazael, king of Aram, at Ramoth Gilead, and the Aramean wounded Joram. King Joram returned to Israel to be healed of the wounds which Aramean had inflicted on him at Ramah while fighting Hazael, king of Aram. Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehuda, went down to visit Joram, the son of Ahab, in Israel, because he was not feeling well. So these two kings, even though the kingdoms have been split up, right? There's two kings, one in the north, one in the south. They are friends. I mean, I'm looking for the word. You have to forgive me. I have a condition that makes me forget things. But anyway, they're working together. But they're working together for evil, right? They're both doing evil. So going into 9, Elisha the prophet summoned one of the guild prophets and said to him, "Prepare for traveling. Take this flask of oil in your hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. When you get there," okay, when you get there, this is important because this is what Elijah was told to do. When you get there, look for Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi. Enter, have him step away from his companions and take him to an inside room. Then take the flask of oil, pour it on his head, and say, this is what Adonai said. I have anointed you king over Israel. After that, open the door and get away from there as fast as you can. So why is Elisha, I know I get excited, why is Elisha saying, get away? Because he knows the hammer is a coming. And Jehu is an instrument of that, because Elijah was told to anoint them, and he said if whoever escapes from Hazael, Jehu would kill, and whoever escapes from Jehu, Elisha would end them. His father is setting it all up, right? It's about to commence. So the young prophet left for Ramat Gilead. When he arrived, he found the senior army officer sitting there. He said, I have a message for you, Commander. Jehu asked, for which one of us? For you, Commander, he said. Jehu got up and went into the house. Then the prophet poured the oil on his head and said to him, this is what Adonai, the God of Israel, says. I have anointed you king over the people of Adonai, over Israel. And while I'm remembering it, I want to make note there's only two kings that Father anointed over the northern kingdom. And that was Jeroboam and Jehu. You will attack the house of Ahab, your master, so that I can avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and all of the servants of Adonai, blood shed by Jezebel. The entire house of Ahab will perish. I will cut off from Ahab every male, whether a slave or free in Israel. I will make the house of Ahab, like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nevat, and like the house of Baasha, the son of Ahiah. Moreover, the dogs will eat Jezebel, in the dumping ground of Israel, and there will be no one to bury her. Then he opened the door and fled. Jehu returned to the servants of his lord, and one of them said to him, is everything all right? Why did this Meshuggah come to you? So Meshuggah is like Hebrew slang for crazy person. Why did this nut job just come to you, Ellie? Okay, so he answered them, you know the king and how they battle. They said, you're being evasive. Come on, tell us the truth. Then he said, this is exactly what he said to me and how he said it. Here's what Adonai says, I have anointed you king over Israel. At this, they hurried each one to take his cloak and put it under Jehu at the top of the stairs. Then they blew the shofar, proclaimed, Jehu is king. Verse 14, Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi. This is a different Jehoshaphat, by the way. It's not King Jehoshaphat. Formed a conspiracy against Joram. At the time Joram was guarding Ramat Gilead, he and all Israel, because Hazael, king of Aram, but Joram himself had returned to Israel to recover from the wounds Aram had inflicted on him when fighting Hazael, king of Aram. If you agree, said Jehu, then don't allow anyone to leave town and take the news to Israel. So Jehu, riding in a chariot, went to Israel, for Joram was laid up there. Ahaziah, king of Yehuda, had come down to visit Joram. Verse 17, Yeshua's number. The lookout standing on the watchtower in Israel saw Jehu's troops approaching and said, I see some troops coming. Joram said, have a horseman go and meet him and ask, are you coming in peace? So a man on horseback went to meet him and said, the king asked if you are coming in peace. And Jehu answered, peace? What business is that of yours? Turn around and get behind me. The watchman reported, the messenger reached them, but he isn't coming back. So he sent out a second man on horseback, who, on coming to him, said, the king asks if you are coming in peace. Jehu answered, peace. What business is that of yours? Turn around and get behind me. The watchman reported, he reached them, but he isn't coming back. Also, it looks like the driving of Jehu Nimshi's grandson. He's driving like a maniac. Jehu's bloodthirsty, guys. Already. But his father put it in his heart, you know. That's just how it goes. Harness my chariot, order Yoram. They got it ready. Then Yoram, king of Israel, and Ahaziah, king of Yehuda, each in his chariot, went out to meet Jehu. They met him in the field of Nevat, the Israeli. When Yoram saw Jehu, he said, are you coming in peace, Jehu? So this is 3 times. He answered, peace. With your mother, Jezebel, continuing all her cult, prostitution, and witchcraft? What a question. Joram wheeled around and fled, shouting, treachery, Ahaziah! Jehu drew his bow with all his strength and struck Joram between the shoulder blades. The arrow went through his heart. Heart. It's all about the heart, right? And he collapsed in his chariot. Pick him up, said Jehu to Bikar, his servant, and throw him into the field of Nevat, the Israeli. For remember how, when you and I were riding together after Ahab his father, Adonai pronounced this sentence against him. Adonai says, yesterday I saw the blood of Nevat. And Nevat was just this is in 1 Kings, Nevat he's just a regular person. And he had a field that Ahab set his covetousness on. And he goes to Nevat and he asks him to buy it. Nevat refuses. He's not going to sell his inheritance. And Ahab goes back and he starts pouting to Jezebel. And Jezebel says, well, I'll just take care of it. So Jezebel sets him up and lies on him and has him basically assassinated. And this is revenge. I mean, vengeance is father's. So here it is. Yesterday I saw the blood of Nevat and the blood of his son. Adonai also says, I will pay you back in this field. And that's the field where all of this went down. This is the field that Ahab lusted after. And it got this man killed because of Jezebel. Therefore, pick him up and throw him into the field, in keeping with what Adonai said. But when Ahaziah, the king of Yehuda, saw this, he fled on the road past Bet Hagan. Jehu pursued him and ordered, strike him too in his chariot. So this is, the Israel Valley is like a place of judgment now because of what happened to the rock. Lots of stuff goes down in the Israel Valley. And we also read that in Hosea 1. Because Jehu himself gets in trouble. And Father, let me just go to Hosea 1 and just read that really quick. I'm going to my paper Bible, so hold on. I might need to turn on the light so I can see better. I've had internet problems all day, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to come on. And so if it kicks off, you'll know why. Okay, so Hosea 1, 3. So he went and married Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. Adonai said to him, call him Israel, because in only a short time I will punish the house of Jehu for having shed blood at Israel. I will put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. When that day comes, I will break the bow of Israel in the Israel Valley. So Jehu was fulfilling Father's plan. However, you know, he got in some trouble himself. Okay, so let's go back to Jehu pursued him and ordered to strike him too in his chariot. So they struck him at the Gur accent near Evelyn. He fled to Megiddo, but there he died. So he died where? In the Megiddo Valley. And that's where the Battle of Armageddon's going to happen, the Megiddo Valley. So here we go with that, you know. Father is so precise with everything he does, and the parallels and the patterns. It's amazing. His servants carried him in the chariot to Jerusalem and buried him in his tomb with his ancestors in the city of David. It was in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, that Ahaziah had began his rule over Yehudah. When Jehu reached Israel and Jezebel heard of it, she put on eye makeup, fixed her hair, and looked out the window. Verse 31. As Jehu came through the city gate, he asked, "Are you here in peace, you Zimri, you murderer of your master?" Looking up at the window, he said, "Who is on my side? Who?" 2 or 3 officers looked out toward him. He said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down. Some of her blood splashed onto the wall. And the horses, and she was trampled underfoot. Trampled underfoot. Does that sound familiar? He went in, ate and drank, and then said, "Deal with the accursed woman. Bury her because she's the king's daughter." They went to bury her, but found no more of her than her skull, feet, and hands. So they came back and told him. He said, "This is what Adonai said through his servant Elijah from Tishbe. In the field of Israel, the dogs will eat the flesh of Isabel. Isabel's corpse in the field of Israel will be like dung on the ground, unrecognizable as Jezebel." Okay, I gotta go back here and remove that. Let's see, take that one off, and then I want to go to 2 Chronicles. Okay, so we got to get the whole story, right? So we're going to read what's going on in 2 Chronicles, the same story. The people living in Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in place of him, since the raiding party that had invaded the camp with the Arabs had killed all the older sons. Have I got to that part yet? So Ahaziah, okay, older ones, not sons. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehudah, reigned. Ahaziah was 42 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Atayahu, the daughter of Omri. Okay, so 42. Did I not put it on the stage? I didn't put it on the stage. I'm sorry, guys. At least I come back to see it. Okay, so 42. Okay, now I need to remove that and put this up. Okay, so we've been talking about the 42s as Yeshua showed them to me, and I want to just recap. Ahaziah was 42 years old when he became king. There's 42 miracles total of Elijah and Elisha combined. Okay, their miracles combined equals 42. There are 42 boys ate by bears. There's 42 months in the Great Tribulation. There's 42 kings total of the northern kingdom and southern kingdom combined, and 1 queen. 42 relatives of Yehuda are killed by Jehu. And we're going to read that. And 4 plus 2 equals 6. And 6 is the number of man. Traditions of men get you in trouble every time. 4 times 2 equals 8. And 8 equals resurrection. So there's the paradox here also. There's 8 days of the Pesach, 8 days of Sukkot, 8 days of 8 days of circumcision, and 42 times 5, because I found 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 42. It's interesting because it was equals 210, and the 2 in the 10 Commandments, the 10 in the Northern Kingdom, the 2 in the South, and there's just no coincidences. But also the king, Ahaziah, was 42 years old when he began to reign. Okay. Ahaziah was 42 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri. He too lived after the example of the house of Ahab, because his mother was his counselor in acting wickedly. So he did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, as had the house of Ahab, because to his destruction they were his counselors after his father died, and he lived his life by their advice. With Jehoram the son of Ahab, king of Israel, he went to war against Hazael, king of Aram, at Ramoth Gilead, where the Aramean wounded Joram. He returned to Israel to be healed of his wounds which they had inflicted on him at Ramah, while fighting Hazael, king of Aram. Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehuda, went down to visit Jehoram, the son of Ahab, in Israel, because he was not feeling well. Through Ahaziah's visit to Joram, God brought about his downfall. See, this is why we need the whole picture to see how Father is working. After he arrived, he accompanied Joram against Jehu, the son of Nimshi, whom Adonai had anointed to cut off the house of Ahab. But it happened that when Jehu was executing judgment on the house of Ahab, he found the leading men of Yehuda and Ahaziah's nephews in attendance with Ahaziah and killed him. Then he went searching for Ahaziah. They caught him where he had been hiding in Shamron, the capital of the northern kingdom, which also comes derived from the word Shomer. Shomer, Israel. Father never sleeps nor slumbers. He Shomers Israel. He watches over Israel. And it's a mountain there where they set up watchmen. It means watchmen. And Father sends out the watchmen to warn Israel and Judah, but sometimes they listen, most of the time they don't. And what's going on right now? Ain't no listening going on. Very few, very tiny remnant, very small remnant will be saved, as it is written. Brought him, a very tiny remnant's going to make it as the bride, and everybody else goes in great tribulation without Father's seals if they don't repent. Without his seal on your forehead, you're in deep dew. Deep dew. So brought him to Jehu and killed him, but his subjects buried him because they said he was the grandson of Jehoshaphat, who sought Adonai with all his heart. See, he's merciful because Jehoshaphat did do what was right. King Jehoshaphat. At this point, there was no one in the house of Ahaziah strong enough to rule the kingdom. When Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she set about destroying the entire royal family of the house of Yehuda. But Jehoshaphat, the daughter of the king, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, stole him away from among the princes who were being slaughtered, and sequestered him and his nurse in a bedroom. Thus Jehoshaphat, the daughter of King Jehoram, wife of Jehoiada, the Kohen and sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah so that he was not killed. He remained hidden with them in the house of God for 6 years. During this time, Athaliah ruled the land. So here comes the wicked, evil queen. But we're going back now to 2 Kings. If I can find it. Okay, sure. Okay, it didn't click the first time. Let me make sure I've got it up there. I hope I didn't do that again. I probably did, didn't I? Well, you're hearing the word if you're not seeing it. I'm not starting over. Okay. As Jehu came through the city gate, she asked, "Are you here in peace?" Oh, we finished that, so we're going to 10 now. Okay. There were 70, important number, Daniel's 70th week. Lots of 70s. There were 70 descendants of Ahab in Shamron. Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Shamron, to the rulers of Israel, to the leaders and to the guardians of Ahab's sons. The letters said, "You have with your master's sons also chariots and horses, as well as fortified cities and armor. So as soon as this letter reaches you, choose the best and most suitable of your master's sons, set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's dynasty." So Yehu's like, pick a king and let's go. Let's duke it out. They were panic stricken and said, "If the other 2 kings couldn't withstand him, how will we?" So the administrator of the palace, the governor of the city, the leaders, and the children's guardians sent this message to Jehu: "We are your servants. We will do everything you ask us to do. We won't appoint any one king. Do as you see fit." So he wrote a second letter to them, which said, "If you are on my side, and if you're ready to obey my orders, then bring the heads of your masters' sons to meet me in Israel by this time tomorrow." Now the 70 sons of the king were with the prominent men who had raised them. When the letter reached them, they seized the king's sons and killed them, all 70 of them, put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jehu in Israel. So everybody's turning on each other. This is what Father does. See, these how did he word it? These prominent men who was raising Ahab's sons. These are men that these boys or young men, old, I don't know how old they are. But these men trusted the prominent men who raised them. And see how Father turned them on him? When he says it's what he does. He always turns everybody on each other. We see it going on all the time, right? When the letter reached them, they seized the king's sons and killed them all 70. Okay, go down to 8. A messenger came and told him, "They have brought the heads of the king's sons." He said, "Leave them in 2 piles at the entrance of the city gate until morning." When morning came, he went out, stood before the people, and said, "You are not responsible for the deaths of these men. Yes, I conspired against your master and killed him, but who killed all these? Understand them. No part of Adonai's word which Adonai spoke concerning the dynasty of Ahab falls to the ground. His words do not fall to the ground, because Adonai has done what he said through his servant Eliyahu." So Jehu killed everyone who remained from the house of Ahab in Israel, all his leading men, his close friends, and his Kohanim, until not one of them was left alive. Then he set out and went to Shamron. On the way, he reached a shearing shed for shepherds. Interesting. Where he encountered relatives of Ahaziah, king of Yehuda. Who are you? He asked. We're relatives of Ahaziah. Wrong answer, guys. They answered. And we're going down to pay our respects to the families of the king and of the queen mother. You take them alive, said Jehu. They took them alive. 42 men. 42 men slaughtered them and threw them into the shearing shed pit. He spared not one of them. So 70 sons of the northern kingdom and 42 relatives to the king of Judah. On leaving there, he happened upon Jehonadab, the son of Rahab. Coming toward him, he greeted him and said to him, Are you wholeheartedly with me, as I am with you? Yes, answered Jehonadab. If so, give me your hand. He gave him his hand, and Jehu took him up into the chariot. He said, Come with me and see how zealous I am for Adonai. So they had him ride in his chariot. 17. Always got to look at 17. Don't we? On arriving in Shamron, he put to death every one that Ahab still had in Shamron until he had destroyed him, in keeping with the word of Adonai, which he had spoken through Eliyahu. 17. All of them. All of them. Ain't nobody slipping through the cracks. Next, Jehu assembled all the people and said to them, Ahab served Baal in limited measure, but Jehu will serve him with full zeal. Therefore, summon all the prophets of Baal to me, all his worshippers and all his priests. None of them is to be missing, because I'm going to offer a great sacrifice to Baal. Whoever is missing will not remain alive. But Jehu was setting a trap. So Jehu struck lion. Here's another example of lion that is sometimes prohibited in Scripture. But Jehu was setting a trap in order to destroy the worshippers of Baal. Jehu said, Proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. And they did so. Jehu sent out throughout all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not one man left that didn't come. They entered the temple of Baal, and the temple of Baal was filled from one end to the other. To the man in charge of the wardrobe, he said, Bring out robes for all the worshippers of Baal, and he brought them clothes. Jehu and Jehonadab, the son of Rahab, entered the house of Baal and said to the worshippers of Baal, Search to see that none of the servants of Adonai is here with you, only worshippers of Baal. Then they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings. So Jehu was making sure that none of Father's people was in there before he laid the hammer down. But Jehu had chosen 80 men to remain outside. He said, If any of the men I am about to put in your hands escapes, it will be your life for his. As soon as he had finished offering the burnt offering, Jehu said to the guards and officers, Go in and kill them. Don't let one of them get out. So they killed them with the sword. Then after the guards and officers had thrown their bodies outside, they went into the temple of Baal's inner shrine, brought out the pillars in the temple of Baal, and burned them. Finally, they broke down Baal's standing stone and demolished the temple of Baal, converting it into a what? A piss house, a latrine, which it still is today. Thus Jehu rid Israel of Baal. However, there's always a however, Jehu did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam. See, This is why he gets in trouble, and that's why it's written in Hosea that fathers, because Yehu's spilling the blood, and then turning around and acting just like him. However, Yehu did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, with which he had Israel to sin, the gold calves that were in Bet El and Dan. So the two golden calves that Jeroboam set up, he left standing, which was the first rebellion that Jeroboam committed after he was given the same promise of David over the northern kingdom. And he got, instead of trusting in Father, he let his lust for the crown drive him into rebellion because he was afraid Rehoboam was going to come up and take back the northern kingdom from him. Adonai said to Jehu, because you did well in accomplishing what is right from my perspective and have done to the house of Ahab everything that was in my heart, your descendants down to the fourth generation will sit on the throne of Israel. But Jehu made no effort to live wholeheartedly according to the Torah of Adonai, the God of Israel, and did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, with which he had led Israel into sin. It was during that period that Adonai began to dismember Israel. He does it in stages. It's not just one big boom. Okay. And he even said this through Moses. It's in the Torah all this was going to happen, guys. All of it. Keep doing those Torah portions, right? We got to stay in the Torah. Because, it's the key to understanding everything else. And Father knew all this was going to happen, and he told him what would happen when they do it. He didn't say, well, if you do it. He said, when you do this, this is what's going to happen. It was during that period that Adonai began to dismember Israel. Hazael attacked them throughout the territory of Israel, east of the Jordan, that's the Jordan, all the land of Gilead, the Gadi, Reubeni, and Manasseh, from Aroer by the Arnon River, including Gilead and Bashan. So Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh. Other activities of Jehu, all his accomplishments, and all his power are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. Jehu slept with his ancestors, and they buried him in Shamron. Then Jehoahaz, his son, became king in his place. Jehu ruled over Israel in Shamron 28 years. So Father was merciful to Jehu, even though he didn't tear down all the high places and left the two golden calves, because he did obey him in taking down Ahab's house. Father wiped out Ahab's line completely, and he said he would, and he's going to do it still. Nothing new under the sun. To the unrepentant house of Ephraim, it's prophesied he's going to wipe out the line of the unrepentant house of Ephraim. So that's why we got to pray to be the remnant and pray for a good latter end. And through these studies, we're going to find out about the latter end too. We're going to be looking at the latter end. Let's see. Might go back to see. Okay, no, it went into that evil queen. Let's go back in. There's some other stuff I wanted to look at. We haven't looked at. This was something that Sister Alyssa had shared on her channel about the 42. Then I have to be close to the camera to be able to read it. Then 2 female bears came out of the woods and tore up 42 lads of the number. 2 Kings 2:24. These are specifically 42 Yeladim, or boys, not young men. The degree of their mockery for a miracle and the authority he received from Elijah, like Ishmael's toward Isaac, was intolerable to Elisha. So she made the connection and parallel to what Ishmael was doing to Isaac with the mock. He was mocking Isaac, right? And I made note that when that happened, it was right after Elisha's water miracle, suggesting they were angry they couldn't profit off of water anymore, extortion of those in need, because the water was tainted. So you can sell water when you need water, right? And Elisha comes through and heals the water. So that knocks out their ability to charge for it. Also, some other scripture about 42. Deuteronomy 9:11. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant. Okay, so Moses is on the mountain the 40 days, and he's given what? The covenant. So there you have 42. In other words, 42 is clearly representing judgment. There's no doubt about it, right? As we've read. So the connection to this is if you're breaking the covenant and you're not keeping the 2 and the 10, you get the 42 instead. So, yeah. 2 Kings 2:24. And he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tare 42 children of them. Here we have the 42 months of Revelation. Revelation 11:2. But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they trample underfoot 42 months. Revelation 13:5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Here's what we just read. 2 Chronicles 22 and 2:10. Looking to see if I'm missing anything, forgotten anything. Well, I think that's about it, honestly. We went through all of Jehu and Chronicles, I think. So I'm going to go look again. Make sure I've got it up. That's a problem when you forget to take one thing down and put another thing up. There we go. Let's look. Okay, so we was going into how the little boy was hidden because the queen decided, since her son Ahaziah is dead, which is the sister of Ahab, she is going to take the throne. She's going to do what? Usurp the throne. And that's going out of order. That's, to us as children, you're going out of order. You're usurping the throne. There's lots of ways to usurp the throne. The self-sovereignty people have, thinking they can just have their pork sandwiches and their Christmas trees and their Easter and all the pagan traditions of man, and they're just going to rule and reign with the Messiah, and that they can go out of order pretending to be prophets on YouTube uh, with thousands of people following him. Okay, that's Revelation 2 right there. That false prophet Jezebel. That false prophet Jezebel is who everybody's going to be thrown in the sick bed with if they don't stop following these false prophets, these date setters, these rapture chasers, and start following the spirit of truth in obedience to receive it. Well, you got to obey to receive the spirit of truth. So if you're in disobedience, you're in the spirit of error. Guys, it is seriously bad out there. So, I mean, you got it on both sides. This was the queen of Judah for about 5 minutes. She wasn't queen very long. And then, you know, you got Jezebel in the northern kingdom. It's going on both sides. You know, the Talmud, traditions of men there, Mishnah, depending on what you're listening to. Some things are true. You have to pray on that. Be careful what you're listening to. On Judah's side, on Ephraim's side, and on the unrepentant ones, of course, and the Christians got their crazy Talmud. They'll tell you all day long, better not use a swear word, and you better not have a drink, or you better not have a cigarette, while they eat their pork sandwiches and bow down to their Christmas trees, not having a clue what sin is. And then that Talmud from the Christians is still lingering into the Messianic side. And that's going to be purged out. Just ignore it, guys. That's what you do. Just ignore it. It's certainly not going to bother me. But it is kind of hard to watch the train wreck. All right. Yeah, I think that's it. And then we'll pick back up, and we're going to finish it. Finish it out. I'll bring in more chapters, and we'll keep going till we finish Kings. And I'm going to try to connect it all to Chronicles 2 with all these kings, because this is really when it starts getting good with all these kings coming and going and coming and going. All right. Well, shalom. Thanks for coming and watching or learning. Well, not watching, coming and learning and being in the Word. That's where we need to be, grounded in the Word, reading the Word, storing the Word in our hearts. Yeshua is the Word. We need to be reverencing this Word right here, right? And the fear of the Lord, I wonder where it is sometimes. Well, most of the time when you're looking on anything on YouTube. Be praying for Yeshua's guidance and all of that, guys. I mean, he said, you know, we're going to see this, the goat channels and the dividing lines, the separation, the door being closed to the bride. However, as I'm saying that, he has the key, he has the door, he has the key, he opens it and closes it. So there is going to be people called in to be bride even during the Great Tribulation. Those that didn't make the 144, they're going to go into those that repent will still have a chance at that, you know. But right now, we got to pray it be the remnant, the 144, to be sealed, have the 3 seals of Father on our forehead, guys. Because without those seals, see, the people are already turning into the locusts. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've witnessed it. Casey's witnessed it. The behavior is outrageous, of just everywhere. If you're in person with people, if you're online seeing the train wreck, you know. And Yeshua said, what? About a year and a half ago, got to go back and look at the date. I always want to remind everybody. He said the judgment on the double down and the betwixt that are not his is now. Now, guys. So pay attention to that when you're out there, because that means people are being turned over to double down like clockwork. You know, the book of life, people have this notion that your name stays in it until your last breath. That's not true. The book of life, names are being taken out of it all the time. People need to study the word. And we need to pray. That's why Yeshua said, pray everyone in the book of life makes it into the fold. We have to take every single word he said very seriously. Pay attention to those words and those details. Why would he say that? Because his names can be taken out. He says it in Revelation 2. If you do repent, I won't take your name out of the book of life. It's no time to be playing around. The anti-Messiah is everywhere. And people are just bowing down, worshiping fake Christmas Jesus, guys. Well, that's all I have to say now. I'm going to go. I love you. And see you soon. Shalom.